Welcome back. So in today's video, we are going to be discussing how everyone has psychic abilities, including you. And I think this is important information to know because a lot of people don't either recognize what they are or that they even have them. They think maybe only professional psychics have psychic abilities, and that's just simply not true. Literally every single person on this planet has psychic abilities. And in this video, I'm going to try to prove it to you. Why should we even care about our psychic abilities? Well, first and foremost, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, right? So we're not a physical human with a soul, we're a soul with a physical body. We use our physical senses, our five senses, right, to experience the surroundings around us. It's our way of experiencing our reality and interacting with other people. Well, as a spiritual being, you also have senses, but those help you interact with the spiritual world or with different dimensions. Now, tapping into these abilities is not dangerous or bad because you already have them and you're already doing it. It's almost like using your physical senses to interact with your physical world, right, is not a bad thing. How you do it and what you interact with will kind of determine, the consequences of those actions. Your psychic senses just help you interact with not only this physical world, but with the different dimensions that are happening simultaneously anyway. Science has already discovered that there are multiple dimensions that are existing at this very same time and space. So it's not that we necessarily travel to different dimensions, they're just here now. And that's basically just how time and space works anyway. It's not really linear, it's all happening at the same time. And so professional psychics, when they are doing a reading or if they're seeing a future or something like that, what they're doing is they're just tapping into the collective consciousness that is just happening right now. I don't know about you, but I think that it would be beneficial to kind of know that and to know that you also can do the same thing and not necessarily become a professional psychic by any means, but you can use it in your waking life for just anything. You can use it to gain a little bit of insight if you're, on a first date or something, or if you're on an interview for another job. You can use those senses to see if that's really going to be a good fit. You can use those senses to see if somebody is lying. You can use them to know if you are in a dangerous place and if it's a place that you need to leave. But what's so ironic is that you're probably already using them anyway, and you just don't even realize it. So we're going to discuss that today. By the way, my name is Catherine. I am a nurse practitioner by day, spiritual coach and energy healer by night. My ultimate goal is to transition out of healthcare and work more in the spiritual space. So I am accepting new clients. I'm actually doing health consultations. If you just need a second opinion on your healthcare matters, I am a Reiki master and I've actually channeled a new energy that I'm very excited about. It's earth-based. So I really want to put that out there because I think it's such a beautiful energy. Or if you just need a spiritual coach to talk to, you can head over to my website at catherineglassman.com or you can email me at hello@catherineglassman.com. Sorry, super long-winded. Okay, first let's talk about our five physical senses. We have our sight, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling. Okay, we use those senses to interact with the reality around us. Most of us will have a sense that is stronger than all of the others. For me personally, my sense of smell is the strongest. I often joke that I'm like a dog. And I kind of play a game with myself where I try to guess what I'm smelling and I try to guess where it's coming from. It's so stupid. And not to mention, that sense is definitely a blessing and a curse when you work in the ER. Side note. So anyway, take a second to think about what sense of yours is the strongest. And how do you know that it's the strongest? Do you just have better eyesight than most of the people around you? Or do you just end up hearing things like from a long distance that nobody else can hear? Do you have a very strong and intricate palate? Most likely you will have a sense that's just the strongest. This is also true when speaking about the psychic senses, but we don't actually have 5 psychic senses, we have 6. So we are talking seeing, touching, tasting, smelling, hearing, and knowing. Now, these are the most popular psychic senses that people are familiar with, but I'll tell you right now that this is just a limited way of tapping into your psychic abilities. These are what's considered the clairs. Now, clair is a French prefix that means clear. So the first sense that we are going to talk about is seeing or clairvoyance. You're probably familiar with this one. People who are able to get messages from the universe through pictures being formed in their head, or seeing movies, or being able to see auras or see energies, those people are considered to be clairvoyant. You are more inclined to be clairvoyant yourself if you are able to form pictures in your head. So if somebody gives you a description of something, then you can easily form it in your head. Or if you close your eyes and you meditate, you just start to see things. You start to see images and things like that. So some signs that you are tapping into your clairvoyant abilities are: if you randomly just get pictures in your head that are completely random, don't really make any sense at all. Or if you see shadows or figures at the corner of your eye and then you turn and there's nothing there. Clearly, if you've ever seen a ghost, definitely clairvoyant. If you tend to imagine things, like if you imagine that somebody is standing by the door but there's nobody there, there's a good chance that you're tapping into your clairvoyant abilities and that there actually might be someone standing at the door. Seeing random sparks of light, that's always a fun one. If you get answers in your head in the form of a word, you see a word spelled out. If you want to develop clairvoyant abilities, it will be beneficial to try to develop pictures in your head. So maybe if you look at a picture and just look at it for a couple of seconds and then close your eyes and then try to visualize that picture and be very descriptive. You can practice with guided meditations, specifically with someone that's describing something. Next up, we have clear hearing or clairaudience. Someone who is clairaudient is able to hear messages. So sometimes they'll hear them through their physical ears, or sometimes they'll just hear them in their head. Sometimes it will sound like another person's voice, and sometimes it'll sound like their own voice. A lot of times when someone is tapping into their clairaudient abilities, somebody will ask them a question and then quickly they'll just hear a word. So you'll know if you're tapping into your clairaudient abilities if you just randomly hear your name and nobody's there, or if you hear whispers or people talking. I know in my astral projection videos, I have told you that when I was first astral projecting, I would start to hear voices right before I go into sleep. That's clairaudience. A very common one is hearing ringing in one of your ears, just out of nowhere. Obviously, as long as it's not like medically related and it's more spiritually related, that you can tell through your intuition. What's happening is that you're getting a message through the form of a frequency. And so you're not really going to hear the message. It's just kind of being transmitted to you. When that happens, what you'll want to do is you'll want to pay close attention to whatever it is, whatever situation you're in right then and there. And if that doesn't really say anything, or if it's not really giving you any messages, pay close attention for the rest of the day or just around that time to see if there's something that is being presented to you. There's a chance that your guides are trying to give you a message and they're just trying to get your attention. But of course, you always want to make sure that you don't have tinnitus either. Next, we have clear feeling or clairsentience. This is the psychic ability that most empaths are tapping into. Professional psychic mediums, when they are tapping into their clairsentience, they will feel the situation. If they're tapping into a departed loved one, they might feel how they died, or they might feel the emotion of whatever energy is still lingering. So you'll know that you're tapping into your clairsentience if you can walk into a room full of people and just feel the energy. You can feel if an argument just took place, or you can feel if someone is really sad. A really common one is if you're hanging out with someone and then you just start to absorb their emotions. So if they're really upset about something and they're just kind of going about their day, and then slowly you start to become upset. You're tapping into your clairsentience if you meet someone and immediately know that there might be something wrong with them or that they might be dangerous. Or if you walk into a building or a space and you just immediately just get the heebie-jeebies and you just want to get out of there. Feeling the hair stand up on the back of your neck when you are somewhere. That's clairsentience. See, it proves that these gifts are very useful in a lot of situations. Our next sense is clear smelling or clairaudience. Now, this is one of the lesser known ones, but when you have clairaudience, you just can smell situations, right? So if a professional is doing a reading, they might smell cigarette smoke because your departed loved one smokes cigarettes. So you'll know that you're practicing your clairaudience gift if you randomly smell things that really aren't there. If you're walking somewhere and then you smell perfume, but nobody's there. That might be an energy that just like that perfume. Or if you randomly smell the perfume of your grandmother who died. This is kind of their way of letting you know that they're there. Or even if you smell things that nobody else can smell. When this would happen to me, I would always think that I was going to have a stroke or something, but that wasn't the case. If you smell something and it triggers an idea or inspiration, that is your gift at work. I will tell you now that, and it's very common in horror movies, if you walk into a place and it kind of looks a little scary, a little sketchy, questionable. If you walk into a place and you smell sulfur or rotting meat, that should be a red flag for you. Sulfur and rotting meat usually indicates that there is bad energy there. You should just turn around and leave. The next sense is clear tasting or clairgustance. So if a psychic is doing a reading, then they might taste something that will trigger a memory for you in regards to a departed loved one. If your grandma just recently died and she made the best apple pies, and just out of nowhere, you start tasting apple pie, that is grandma trying to let you know that she's there. You'll know that you have this gift if you just randomly taste things and you didn't put anything in your mouth. Or if you have a very intricate palate and you can taste every little thing, it means that that sense is heightened, and therefore your psychic sense is probably heightened as well. When people talk about food and then you can taste it, then you probably have this gift. Interesting fact, if you come into a space and you taste a metallic-y taste for no reason, now it could be a couple of things. It could be an underlying health condition, right? It could be a medication that you're taking. If you have ruled those out and you are in a place and you start to taste metallic, that could be a sign of negative energy. So just be aware of that if that ever happens. You know the saying, that just put a bad taste in my mouth? That's where that comes from. And last but certainly not least, it's my personal favorite and my personal strongest sense, is clear knowing or claircognizance. This is the ability to just know, and you have no clue how you know it. So this information is literally just dropped into your head. It's not something that you see or that you hear or information that you looked up or anything like that, or puzzle pieces from the universe. It's just boom in your head. Do you ever have those moments when someone is asking a question or they're talking about a situation and they're trying to get to the bottom of it, and you just quickly get an idea or a flash of the answer? That is claircognizance. It's a very fast ability. You'll know that you have this gift if people ask you a question and you just know the answer. Or if someone is talking about a situation and you already know what happened. I'll give you a story. I was working in the ER, and me and a friend of mine, we were triaging a patient, and he was my patient. I'm setting up his vitals, she's putting in the triage, and he came in with chest pain. And I asked him, "Oh, you get into a fight with your wife?" He's like, "Yeah, we got into a huge argument. She's threatening divorce, and we're just talking." My friend and I leave to go to the med room to go get him some aspirin. And while I'm getting the aspirin, she pulls me to the side and she says, "Are you like a witch or something?" I was like, "No, why?" She's like, "How did you know that he got into a fight with his wife?" And I had to think about it. And I was like, "He didn't mention it?" She's like, "No, he didn't." I was like, "Oh, just lucky guess, I guess." Of course, I didn't talk about these things in the ER openly, really, but that's claircognizance. You just know. When you have that happen, it just looks very obvious to you, but to other people, they just have no clue how you knew that information. Another way to know that you have this gift is if you just get random thoughts in your head that end up being very helpful. Like if you're lost trying to get somewhere and you just know which direction to go. Interestingly enough, a sign that you have claircognizance is if you end up being somewhere at the right time. Like you just have phenomenal timing. That's almost so fast that you're not even thinking about it. You're just doing it. And then of course, if you already know the outcome of something, then that's claircognizance. Now, these are just 6 psychic senses that we've talked about, which is actually pretty limiting when you think about tapping into the universe. There are so many ways to tap in, including dreams or journaling or meditation. But I find it so interesting that if we have a difficulty with our physical senses, right? If I have trouble hearing, I'm going to go to the doctor and have it looked at, maybe get a hearing aid, right? If I have trouble seeing, I'm going to go get glasses. So you have psychic senses that can be developed if you want them to be. These are not gifts that are unique to just certain people. There are just certain people in this world that know that they have these gifts and therefore have taken the time and energy to develop them and to use them and to practice. And more importantly, to trust them. I've always said, I am not the smartest person that I know. I have never been the best nurse. I've never been the most skilled with procedures. None of that. But what I do have is intuition. I use those senses to help me, and boy, have they been very helpful. A lot of people don't believe that they have these abilities because you just weren't taught. It's not like the school system is going to teach you that you're this spiritual being and you can tap into the universe. They didn't even bother telling us how to do taxes, okay? Us as a society have been programmed a certain way, and part of that programming is to disconnect us from that part of us. So I'm just here to remind you that you very much are psychic. I highly encourage you to start practicing. If you want to know more tips or anything like that, then leave a comment or let me know, then I can make another video about it. But otherwise, I hope you liked the video. Please like it, please subscribe, and I'll just see you next time.